So let's do this. Let's go to another sound, and we'll take questions in about 5 minutes. I just want to show another sort of take on this. So here we have a kick, and let's throw a Pro C2 on here. Now, the question is, when things are played by humans with microphones and stuff, compression is so critical because, as we saw, it kind of contains the performance. It can really compact the human differences in dynamics. But what do we use a technical compressor for on a programmed kick that every velocity is set? Every velocity is the same. Well, at this point, it really becomes an envelope tool, right? So if we have this kick here, play it. And there really isn't any dynamics to control per se, but we can use this as an envelope shaper. So if we turn this on, and it's a kick, it should be coming, and we'll do the guessing game again, which is, let's go for a attack, not the fastest. I don't want to choke my kick. I don't want to be too slow either. I won't get there in time. So let's go for, again, a medium fast attack, and we can always change it, but I'm doing my guessing routine, right? Release, I don't want to release too fast. I don't want to release too slow. So maybe something like a 9 o'clock release. For the personality, I'm going to start with classic and maybe go to opto. But I'll try classic again. Variable knee in the middle is fine. Leave the range off for now. Look ahead. I don't really want look ahead on this one. I want the initial transient of the kick to smack through before I do that. So I'm going to leave that off. I will turn over sampling on for sure. Don't need any hold on this. And let's go ahead and open up the sidechain here. And let's just do, and the ratio, I want it to be pretty light. So I'm actually going to go to 2.5. 4-to-1 is since we're really just doing some gentle envelope shaping, I don't want it to be too severe. So I'm going to go to 2.5, and I love 2.5. It's a really cool ratio. So now let's make the threshold all the way insensitive and just creep it up. And this envelope shaping that we're doing is making it sound like it's hitting harder. It's compacting the sound. It's just putting some energy into the sound. It's not controlling the dynamics. It's injecting some energy into the sound. So now what we might want to do is have the lows be uncompressed and not triggered by the by the lows in the internal sidechain, so that it's really sort of just reacting to the mid-range. And so we can sort of slide this up, and we should hear the low end come up a little bit when we do this. And there you go. Super, super easy. And you'll notice, and it might be hard to hear during the broadcast today, but when you watch this later in your hammock, you will hear that having the low frequency triggering the compression of the kick choke the kick. And by sliding this up, all of a sudden the low frequency really starts to be free and be more dynamic, and you get a much more dynamic low frequency bounce. So and this little trick is what we're going to be doing when we work on a whole track. We will use Pro C2 here as a bus compressor. Come here, you. And this will, and we'll get into this again next week. We'll sort of continue next week with some more even more advanced tricks. But when we put this on the whole mix, we're going to go to bus because it sounds great. We don't want to choke our kick, right? So we can slow down the attack, maybe not all the way slow, but pretty slow, and speed up the release. We know from today, slow attack, fast release makes for a lightly compressed signal. We're in bus mode, but then the critical thing, of course, oversampling is on, and we're not going to really need to look ahead on this. We go to the sidechain here, and we're going to definitely, when we put this on the whole mix bus, as our little bus compressor hug, we're going to definitely punch in the internal sidechain low cut or high pass filter and dial this up, maybe up to 300 or 400. And this makes for quite a nice mix bus compressor, right? Very, very, very light ratio here. Okay, so I know this might have been a little basic, but I think it'll be cool reference just in terms of boot camping compression in the context of Pro C2. And I will take questions in 2 minutes. What is really important to me is that you master this plugin, because this plugin for technical compression is the best one available. It has so many different personalities, and it's so flexible. It's so clean and transparent, but it will put so much energy in your mix by compacting some of these signals and hardening them up. You don't have to over compress them, but a judicious amount of compression on individual elements and on your buses is where the power comes from. That is, that saturation limiting is really where the power comes from. And let me just throw in one more thing, and we'll pick this up again next week, which is this slider, which I didn't really show in the beginning, but I want to show now. This is sidechain level, so you have a gain control. If your sidechain level is too loud from your external sidechain or your internal sidechain, you can actually, it's cool to have a little level control to push the sidechain harder or mellow it out. So that's your sidechain level. The stereo link, this is critical. If you have a very stereo sound, like really wide stereo guitars, or a crazy silent patch, or a Nexus 2, where you listen to this synth patch and it's crazy stereo, make sure you go into sidechain, otherwise it's hiding from you, and unlink the detectors. We're going to do this with the Pro SDSer, and we're also going to do this with Pro L, which we're going to do next week as well. For a long time, I just slept on unlinking my stereo compressors. I left them linked, just kind of out of ignorance. And as soon as I started to unlink my stereo compressors, I got a much, much wider stereo image from my very stereo tracks. What is it doing? Well, in a stereo compressor, there's a left and right detector. If you have a center image, like a lead vocal in the center, and you're mastering, you don't want to unlink the detectors too much, because if a transient happens on the left and the left channel is independent and the gain reduction pulls down the left but leaves the right momentarily intact, the lead vocal will swing. The center image will swing from side to side. And I'm sure that you will get a call from Rihanna's manager if Rihanna's vocal is auto panning like Pan Man from the left and the right, right? We don't want that. So in order to prevent that, we have what we call a stereo link detector for compression, which means the left is listening to the left and the right is listening to the left and the right. So if anything happens anywhere, they both come down equally. And that keeps Rihanna's vocal in the center. That's cool for that particular thing. But if I have a sick Nexus patch with like mad stereo information, I don't have Rihanna in the center. I have just this wonderful, bubbly, left-right loveliness. And if I want to preserve all that difference, I unlink the stereo compressor, right? And if I'm mastering, I can unlink them a little bit as long as Rihanna isn't pan-manning around on me, right? If she's staying in the center, it's cool. So we'll see in de-essing and on the Pro L limiter, not to give away next week's lesson, we'll do, just little bits of unlinking. But please don't sleep on this. If you're using a compressor on a track that is very, very stereo, unlink it. And you're going to be like, especially put some headphones on, you'll be like, holy man, did that just get wider without using a fake artificial widener. Okay, so that is the presentation for today. The fundamentals of Pro C2.